Q Country 102.9 presents Roos Day Tuesday, a weekly discussion with SUNY Canton men's basketball head coach Ben Thompson, giving you the inside scoop on all things SUNY Canton basketball. Q Country 102.9, it is Roos Day Tuesday, and joining me in the studio, head coach of SUNY Canton men's basketball team, Ben Thompson. Currently, the Roos are 10-9, although they're ranked third in NAC standings with a record of 6-2. Their next game is at home, another conference matchup this Friday at 5:30 p.m. at the Roos House. But first, before we talk about that, Ben, let's talk about last weekend's games. You split your games with Hussen, winning the first in a commanding fashion, 94-79, but then dropping the second, 51-67. What happened, as the difference in times was just one day apart between these games?
Yeah, I thought we came in Friday as the hungrier team, and our guys were really locked in, knowing how important the weekend was. And so I thought that we played hungrier, harder, with more sense of urgency. On Saturday, I think our guys are kind of worn down a little bit. Friday took a lot out of us. I think we were kind of worn down, and, naturally there's probably a sense of, we won this one easily. Even though as a coach, you try to get it out of them as much as you can, but naturally there's a sense of lull. You know what I mean? There's not that sense of urgency. Hussen came out and played harder and played with more of a sense of urgency than we did. And, so I thought we played fairly well on Friday, and Saturday was one of our worst efforts of the year.
You say fairly well the first day. Before we went on air, you had said that you played one of your best games on Friday and then turned around and had one of your worst games on Saturday.
Yeah, I think our ceiling is really high when we can get there. And there were points in the game on Friday where I thought that we played to our ceiling. So we haven't completely figured it out, but I think we're moving in the right direction. And if we can kind of peak over these next 3 weeks moving into conference playoffs, I think we'll be in really good position.
Yeah, it's promising facing the end of the season here. And Hussen is no walk in the park. Hussen was projected to win the conference.
Yeah. And they've won 5 out of the last 7 conference championships, so they're really good.
Hussen right now, so they're ranked right at the top of the conference. They only have one loss, and that's to SUNY Canton. So how does that feel, and what does that mean knowing that you may face this team in the playoffs again, but you only get to play them one time, not twice like you did last weekend?
Yeah, I think it's proof that we can play with anybody and beat anybody in the conference. Right now, them and Farmington are tied at 6-1, and we're half a game behind at 6-2. So, there's 6 games left for us. So we're in good position. If we can handle our business, then I think we have a chance to win the regular season and host the conference tournament.
Yeah, coming up this weekend, starting on Friday, you'll be playing Northern Vermont Johnson at 5:30. We'll be talking about that upcoming matchup, and you also will play the other team tied at number 1 in your conference coming up in February. And we'll talk about that right after the break. It's Q Country 102.9. This is Roos Day Tuesday. Q Country 102.9 presents Roos Day Tuesday, a weekly discussion with SUNY Canton men's basketball head coach Ben Thompson, giving you the inside scoop on all things SUNY Canton basketball. Q Country 102.9 back for part 2 of Roos Day Tuesday. Now, right now, the Roos are seated third in conference standings, just a half game below first place. And we've got the number 1 team in the conference coming up February 1st and 2nd. But before then, we'll be playing another home game this Friday at 5:30 in the Roos House against Northern Vermont Johnson. Now, currently, Coach, they're ranked 6th, and their record is just 1-6. So how are you approaching this game knowing the difficulty of the matchup may be a little easier?
Yeah, I don't care about their record. Basketball is all about matchups, and it doesn't matter what conference you're in. Like case in point, right? So we beat Hussen we're up 27 and up beating them by 15. They come out the next day and beat us by 16, right? That's a 31-point difference, right?
Yeah.
Either way. So it doesn't matter what league you're in. Anybody in any league can beat any team.
Any given day.
On any given day. It honestly, the record has nothing to do with it. It's all about matchups.
Yep.
And Johnson plays really, really hard. They probably play harder than anybody else in the conference. So they present different challenges than other teams do. And so we have to figure out what those challenges are and put our guys in the best positions to be successful.
And you can look at it from the other way around, whereas just last weekend, you came in the underdog, more or less, facing Hussen at their home court. and you went in and punched them in the mouth because maybe they took a day off in practice. They thought this one's going to be easier. SUNY Canton ranked lower than us. You want to make sure that you're not on the opposite end as Johnson comes in to take the Roos on this Friday at 5:30.
Yeah, this weekend is really pivotal. Johnson's first, and then we've got Farmington and then Linden. But each of those weekend entities, those weekend series are going to be really important for us moving forward. For us to meet our goals of winning a conference championship and being the 1 seed and being able to host the tournament. The good thing is that it's right in front of us. And so as you're kind of finishing the season and coming down towards the finish line, kind of the analogy I made to our guys the other day, I made a racing analogy and a golf analogy, how, in different parts of the season, if you use a racetrack, like turn 1 is the preseason, right? Turn 2 is winter break. Turn 3 is the end of conference season, and turn 4 is the conference tournament, right? And so we're kind of coming around turn 3, and we got to put ourselves in position to be in the lead as we're coming into turn 4. And
right now you're ranked 3rd in the conference, and the only 2 teams ahead of you are Hussen, which you've already played and split your matchups with them, and ahead is Maine Farmington. They're the other team right now tied for first place. So once you get past Johnson, it's eyes on to Maine Farmington. This could come down to determine whether you get a bye in the playoffs.
Yeah, it could, but I'm not thinking about it. I'm just focused on Johnson. We can talk about Farmington next week, and so each of these 3 weekends are really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking it one step at a time. But for Roos fans, there may have never been a more exciting time than right now, as SUNY Canton is ranked number 3, and they do have a chance at earning that first round bye. It all happens with how it shakes out at the end of the conference. Coming up, the next game is this Friday at 5:30 at the Roos House, where the Roos take on Northern Vermont Johnson. Then they'll play that same team the following day, this Saturday at 1 p.m. Next week, we'll talk about their matchup with Maine Farmington and their last home game of the season before the playoffs. Ben, thanks so much for coming in. As always, go Roos.
Go Roos.